there any deals being done, Pete, at West Ham?
Yeah, they are working away, trying to bolster that squad. The latest one is a player that a lot of people might not know a lot about from AFC Nordjylland in Denmark is Ibrahim Osman from Ghana descent. Advanced talks between West Ham and Nordjylland now to get this deal done for around £15 million. Again, another young player, only 19, but again, very highly rated. There's been a number of Premier League clubs have looked at him. Brentford and Brighton have both made overtures to try and sign him, but it's West Ham who've really stepped up their interest in him. And my understanding is that this deal could get done by the end of the week. So West Ham are pretty confident that they've won the race for a signature, and they're hoping to get this deal over the line. And he's a winger, left-sided, or he can play on the right as well. He can also play as a forward. So a versatile attacker who will add options to David Moyes' side. I'm not too sure he's ready for the Premier League just right now, so he might take a bit of time to bed in, and maybe he's might have to go out on loan. I think maybe if he's not going to get straight into that West Ham team as well. But yeah, a player with huge potential. And I think it's West Ham planning for the future by sort of bringing Osman in now and then hoping that he will come good probably in the near future.
I mean, it sounds like a really exciting deal. But Paul, fans have been crying out all year for an out-and-out number 9. And I know, of course, Jared Bowen has really filled in there. But do you think someone like Osman, is that a good... Of course, it's a good move for the future. But is it good because he's adaptable? Or should they be looking specifically at a striker?
Well, they've got players that are adaptable, haven't they? I mean, you talk about adaptable players. You look at what Tottenham had for years and years with Harry Kane. At the risk of comparing Tottenham and West Ham, Harry Kane is a number 9. When Harry Kane didn't play, Tottenham always struggled. They didn't have a number 9 to play in that position. West Ham have got those players. I mean, look at Jared Bowen this year. He can play as a number 9. He's only got 2 goals less than Haaland this year, so it proves that he can do the job. But he's not an out-and-out number 9, is he? He's a versatile attacking player, which is what Osman is as well. And it's another one. He's a fantastic talent and a young player to look for to the future. But if West Ham fans want an out-and-out number 9 in the same mould as Antonio that scores you 20, 25 a season, I know they were linked with Nketiah. We spoke on here about Nketiah before. It doesn't look like they'll be able to get a deal done for him, and whether that's the right move for him or not. But they are looking for 4 and 9. With Osman, he's like I say, he's another forward-thinking attacking player that can play in any of the 4 attacking positions. He's not necessarily a number 9.
And Paul, it sounds like Osman as well is from the Right to Dream Academy, which is the same academy that Mohamed Kudus has graduated from as well. Do you think that's exciting for the Hammers, hoping that they will have another player at a similar talent level to Kudus as well?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the global network for all the clubs now, the scouting networks. I mean, we see players that come into the Premier League. And if you're completely honest, as a pundit, as an ex-player, we sit on here and you have to do your research. There's even managers come into the Premier League now or into the English football leagues that you look at and you have to do your research on the background because you don't know about these players. It just gives you an insight into the work that goes on in the clubs behind the scenes. The scouting networks, I mean, years ago, we're going back 30 years, the clubs used to have a chief scout who'd go and watch a game and put his eyes on a player. Now they've got 20, 30 members of staff all over the world with different eyes on different players, but everybody's doing the same thing. I mean, you look at Brighton's recruitment, their recruitment is incredible. They seem to have the march on the South American market slightly ahead of others. West Ham, where they are now, everybody's looking for that little bit of a nth degree, that little bit of an edge over somebody else. They're trying to fish in a pond where nobody else is fishing. And at the moment, the way the Premier League is and the way that all the big leagues around Europe are, you'll do very, very well for anybody to find a player that another club doesn't know about.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Pete, what sort of valuation is he going for? How much are we expecting the deal to be agreed at?
Yeah, I think obviously Nordjylland were hoping to get the best price possible for him, between 18 to 20 million euros. West Ham have tabled an offer of 15.4. So I think they're getting closer to meeting that valuation, and I expect the deal to get done for around £16 million as well. The player is obviously keen on a move to the Premier League. Obviously, as you said, come from the Right to Dream Academy. So if he's half as good as Kudus, I think West Ham have got a right player on their hands as well. But I don't think there's expecting too much from him too soon. He's still only 19. He's never played in England before as well, but he has got huge potential. Tim Steidten, the West Ham's director of football, feels he's a player who can really come and make an impact in the Premier League as well. And if he does really kick on and do well at West Ham, there'll be huge resale value in him as well, which is obviously what clubs like West Ham do try and do, offer a platform for these players, and then maybe there'll be big financial profits from those players if they do decide to sell them on in the future as well. So a couple of signings looking like they are imminent at West Ham, with Calvin Phillips coming in on loan from Manchester City, which is a good deal. That's a deal that David Moyes has really pushed for. And then obviously one for the future with this move for Abraham Osman as well. So yeah, West Ham making a couple of smart moves, it looks like, in the transfer window, and maybe that might mean a couple of players aren't going as well at the London Stadium before next week's deadline.
Who are expecting to go on, point?
I think their recruitment's been excellent. I really do. I think they've got it around David Moyes. I think David Moyes has done an excellent job there. But the recruitment since selling Declan Rice with the players that have come in, and if he is to only get these two players over the line, if Calvin Phillips goes in there, I think that's a real coup for West Ham between now and the end of the season. I think they've recruited excellently well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what I was actually going to say. It's obviously really shrewd, really smart business from West Ham for sure. And Pete, does that then mean that we're expecting no more deals? Because a bit like Paul mentioned, of course, a link to Nketiah, they've been linked to Victor Boniface, Armando Broja, Hugo Ekitike from PSG. Are there any other likely deals expected to happen, or are they probably going to be saved for the summer?
Yeah, I'm probably thinking they'll be saved for the summer. I think West Ham, obviously, if they're spending this money on Osman, and obviously, although Calvin Phillips is a loan deal, it's not a cheap loan deal due to the loan fee that Man City are looking, and also the wages that Calvin's on. So it might stretch West Ham's budget a bit too much. Obviously, West Ham fans have been crying out for this new striker for a while now, but I think obviously some of the targets they are after are just going to be too expensive for this January transfer window as well. If more players were to leave between now and the end of the window, maybe that will give David Moyes a bit of manoeuvrability to bring in another signing. Still maybe potentially looking at a centre-back as well if Naif Agard was to leave. So I think there'll still be some business at West Ham between now and the end of the window, and potential outside Benrahma, I think, could possibly be on his way as well now, especially if they get Osman in. He's quite a similar player to Benrahma, who can play out wide and in a forward attacking position as well. So I think West Ham would be open to letting him move on before the close of the window.
And Pete, what about Danny Ings? Because he's, of course, been involved in the squad more recently, but if fans are still kind of umming and ahhing about him, are we expecting him to go? Is he likely to stay? What's his transfer status at West Ham for now?
Yeah, obviously, Danny Ings, that hasn't shown his best, probably at West Ham, I think it's fair to say, but I thought he had a good game on Sunday against Sheffield United. Was unlucky not to score in that game. He's just desperate for a goal. You can see in the way he's playing, he's snatching at a few things as well, but this is his opportunity now to try and stake a claim for a regular run in David Moyes' side with the injuries to Antonio and others. So I think for Danny Ings, I think he'll stay at West Ham. There will be interest in him, no doubt about that. We've had Wolves who have looked at him as a potential loan signing as well, but West Ham don't really want to do that. They want to keep him, especially with the injuries to Antonio and Paquetá and Kudos being away to the AFCON as well. So I think right now, I think Danny Ings will stay, but stranger things have happened. I'm sure there might be a few sniffs around him before the close of the window, with Wolves still in that market for a striker, and even Crystal Palace showing a bit of interest in Danny Ings as well.
And Paul, to wrap up, of course, Ghana were knocked out of AFCON, so Mohamed Kudus is returning to East London. He's going back to the London Stadium. Is he going to feel like a new signing? Because, of course, some fans were expecting Ghana to go really far in the tournament. He's now come back early. Do you think he's going to walk in the door and actually he will just lift the dressing room?
He'll lift the dressing room by coming back, absolutely. But let's be honest, I mean, we're coming towards the end of the worst winter break ever, aren't we? So he's not really missed that much football, has he? I think West Ham are the only team that have played more games than anybody else because of the replays and the way it's been structured. But the way that the winter breaks come in, I mean, we'll have 2 games on a Saturday, 2 on a Sunday. Like we said, I don't think we'll see it in this form again because it's just not worked. And with him coming home early as such, he's not missed that many games that he would have played in. Now, he's missed the cup game, but he potentially wouldn't have played in that.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.